Based off of the title and thumbnail of this video, you may be led to believe that I am Ty Bizabizow. However, I'm not Ty Bizabizow. I'm none other than... But no, I'm a huge fan of Ty Bizabizow and her series of redesigning FNAF plushies. I think she does an awesome job at it. But one thing she consistently says throughout every video is that she fucking hates the twisted ones.
Yeah, we're getting into the real rancid shit now. Their nightmare attempts aren't nearly as bad as the twisted animatronic ones they made later on. What was stopping them from making this yellow and purple and calling it a day? Hell, they made this fucking thing into a plush. Big old shitters. Oh, no, not as bad as you. You're not losing that crown. Don't get it twisted.
Yup, she can't stand them, and I don't blame the rest of the fandom for thinking the same way. I mean, these guys are just not as popular. I feel like the twisted ones was the black sheep in the trilogy of the Silver Eyes. I'm not sure. Drop your opinion below. But yeah, these things are just not as popular in the fandom. More people know who the mediocre melodies are compared to these guys. They're kind of just forgotten about, but in my opinion, I do have a soft spot for them. I think the designs are unique, and it's a cool concept having animatronics bury themselves in the ground and have illusion discs that alter your perception of them. So I thought I'd take on the task that Ty wouldn't and try redesign these guys. Try and give them an appealing design, not make them look like someone fell asleep at the sewing machine. So let's get into it. Twisted Freddy. Oh my god. Who dropped him in the sewer? Who sent him down the sewer slide? I think you can see why this plush is just terrible. I mean, printed on fabric, the shapes aren't correct, it's just the usual Freddy base reused again. Like, I don't need to go into detail, do I? So, let's fix him already. Wow, look at him go. Award-winning smile. When redesigning these guys, I tried to match their designs as close as possible to the actual official art of them. And looking at the official art, he has quite a similar head shape to Nightmare Fredbear, so when redesigning it, I used the same similar sort of head shape that Ty uses in her redesign of Nightmare Fredbear. I did tweak it ever so slightly, however. He has more of a triangular jaw, so I gave him more of that Robbie Rotten jaw. I did change the snout just a bit to be more upturned to match the art as well. I've added a seam line as well, some stitch marks, keep the withered effect. All the twisted ones have quite big gaping eye cavities, so what I did was add these elongated pieces of fabric to act as those large eye cavities, similar to what Bizabizow did on the Mango plush. He is quite a rotund fella, so I decided to give him the Toy Freddy plushie base just to match. As for his stomach thingy, there's just no way I could design that in and make it look good. Just too many rows of teeth. So instead, what I've opted to do is section off a small piece of grey fabric on the stomach with stitch marks acting as the teeth and a little cross stitch in the middle to kind of evoke the feeling of rows of teeth going inwards to the body. The twisted ones have like two sets of gums. They have realistic pinkish gums and they have this weird line of black gums. So for the mouth, of course, I've added the pink gums, but also added a rolled up piece of black fabric around the rim of the mouth to act as the sort of black gums. These things don't make any sense, but they're charming in their own way. I've also elongated the teeth just to emphasize how much like creepy and spooky these guys are. His ears have more of a pointed shape, and of course long stitch marks on the paws of the plushie just to emphasize the claws that these guys have. For his eyes, I've made them grey with a light blue inner circle just to match the official art. And quite possibly my favourite part of this plushie is the little boils they have on them. All the twisted ones seem to have them to some extent, but Freddy is the most prevalent. Bro needs some of that eczema cream. I decided for these to use pom-poms. Give him his bow tie, slap it all together, and there's Twisted Freddy. I think this plushie would be fairly feasible in the real world. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Cue the jingle thing. There's Freddy, done and dusted. but he's still got those boils, so maybe rush into urgent care. Yikes, jeez, yowie, yowie, yowie.
Pass, 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 pass. Smash.
Funko, every time you use printed on fabric, God kills a puppy. This needs to stop. Twisted Bunny. Wow, this guy is pretty gnarly, dude. Got the split jaw and everything. Whoa, wicked. For Twisted Bunny, the body shape isn't actually that far off from the official art. They did quite a good job in my opinion. It's just the head where they seem to fail at. So let's fix this already. The official artwork, he has quite the weird head shape. Very triangular with the jaw sticking out. Very exaggerated mouth and teeth. To make him look a bit more feral like they seem to be in the artwork, I made him a bit wall-eyed, like he's a crazed animal. Now, his split jaw does seem a bit hard to do in reality, but I think it would be fairly feasible if you create the head as it is first with the regular jaw, and then create the split jaw as separate plush pieces and sew them onto the back of the head. I think it could work, but I'm not an expert. His snout shape is accordingly adjusted to fit the official artwork more closely. The eyes, like Twisted Freddy, use a slight grey colour to the sclera of them. I've intentionally kept the stitch marks on the ears black, the same colour as the line art, just to emphasise how exaggerated and worse these tears are in the costume. These three segmented ears are actually a detail that Funko managed to get right, so at least they're doing something over there. I've of course given him whiskers like the official artwork, and moving down to the body, he has this large melting type cavity in his body. So for this, like Twisted Freddy, I cordoned off a section of different fabric, making it black almost to give the appearance that it's meant to be hollow. Of course I can't make the plushie actually hollow, but we do with what we can. Add a few stitch marks on the hands and feet just to emphasize the large claws. I did really want to try and convey Bonnie's almost curled fingernails from the artwork, but it's just not that feasible on a plushie, so I've just opted to give him the usual claw design from the other plushies. I feel like his ears would have one or two string hanging from them. This would be to convey the kind of melting effect that the official artwork has, as well as adding a few boils on the leg and back, and we're done. There's Twisted Bonnie.
Let's do a road trip. Who's in?
No, not you, Seamus.
Ah, poo.
Twisted Chica. There she is, despite not being a character in the book. So for Twisted Chica's design, it was a bit more complicated because she's not actually in the book. I wasn't sure whether to redesign her or not, but she does have official artwork to go alongside her, so I guess I could base it off of that. When you compare the official artwork to the Funko plushie, it's quite not accurate. So let's feed it to the dogs and redesign a new one. Here's the new one. Looking at the official artwork, Twisted Chica is quite rotund, similar to Freddy, so I also gave her the more pudgy body shape. Chica also has quite the large head like Twisted Freddy, but less angular, more rounded, so I adjusted the head shape accordingly to match this. I've bordered off sections of the mouth to add orange fabric, like for the beak. And this is another weird detail in the official artwork, but Twisted Chica has quite prominent eyelashes. So I guess Funko weren't too far off, but it doesn't make sense in my opinion. But alas, we have to be accurate, so there they are. Of course the eyes have the pinkish ring around them to match the weird flesh sockets the eyes have in the official artwork. Her feathers have been adjusted as well to be more of a mohawk of feathers, with the front one flopping down to match the official artwork also. And the cupcake. I've attached this to the side of Chica's head with some stitch marks. This would probably be sewn into the fabric, and these would just be more fake stitch marks for effect and stylization purposes. To differentiate the cupcake from Bizabizow's Nightmare Cupcake, I made the eyes two different sizes to give it more of a organic, twisted effect, and adding a few small pom-pom balls for the boils on them to match the rest of the twisted ones. When it comes to the stomach mouth, I've basically just done the same thing for the Nightmare Fredbear redesign, where I've given long stitch marks to portray the illusion of teeth and a mouth on the plushie. The character also has mouths on the other joints of her body, specifically the arms. So to portray this detail, I've kept long stitch marks along the length of the plushie arms, just to portray these sort of mouth things in between the segments of the arms. I don't know the best way to describe it, but you see what I've done. I've given her the purple gums and large mouth to match the rest of the characters. And as for the bib, it's very torn off in the artwork, almost a rag basically. So I've shortened it here to match the effect. In the official artwork, the bib just says eat instead of the classic let's eat. Unfortunately, there just wasn't enough room to feasibly fit in the yellow cupcake coming out of Chica's side, but I'm pretty happy with the cupcake on her face and how I've managed to incorporate it into the plush. I think this would be a very cute feature if done in reality. And quite possibly my favourite aspect of this redesign would be the arms and legs, specifically the chicken feet type thing. In the visual artwork, it's got this like bumpy texture, which can be found on real chickens. And I thought the best material to portray this in plush form would be the material corduroy. Corduroy has these distinct ridges and bumps going down the length of the fabric, and I thought that would be the perfect way to portray this detail of the character on the limbs. So with that, Twisted Chica is done. What a genuinely awful design. I'm sorry, I just don't like it.
Are you looking at me, treasure?
Time to pirate some movies. Yarg. Fucking 40 games. Saying it now, I'm not entirely happy with this design, but I feel like I did the best I could considering the reference image. Don't get me wrong, it's amazing artwork, but for making a plushie, I mean, Scott could have given Funko a turnaround or something, Jesus Christ. The official artwork is at this weird 75-degree low angle shot, and he's half in the ground, so we had to take some artistic liberty here when redesigning this plushie. Oh my god, this might be quite possibly the worst plushie. Wait, no, not the worst. One of the worst, but not the worst. I think the main thing on this plush I can't get over is the eyes. Like, why are they angled like that? The mouth is weird, opening only in the middle, but like having the teeth around the edge, I don't understand. And the hook, I don't need to describe the hook hand. It's you can tell what I'm thinking. Printed on fabric, yet again, there's another one, Funko. So how about we just redesign them already? Ta-da! There's the redesign. When redesigning this, I really only had reference for the top half of the body, so let's focus on that first. The head tapers in at the middle, kind of going out and up, like in a square shape at the top. We've got the 3 pieces of string for the wire hair on top of the head, of course. We've got the chunks taken out the ears accordingly to match the withered effect. The rings around his eyes are given this more angular effect, with kind of sharp wings coming out the top corners. I've also added a barnacle thing at the top of his eye ring. I imagine the barnacles on this plush would just be little rolled pieces of fabric and then glued into a circle, just slapped on the plushie. I feel like that would work best, possibly. Not what Funko were doing here. Just no, please. Please no. For his face tufts, I've done it accordingly to the artwork, tried to make them more elongated and flat at the sides of his face. I feel like the mouth area would probably be the most complicated part of this plush. I've tried to make these as simple and feasible in real life as possible, but this might be stretching it a bit, but if any of you want to try and recreate this, go ahead. I've given the open mouth as well, just like the rest, with the sharp teeth lining the gums. Weirdly enough, Twisted Foxy doesn't seem to have this weird black gum line that Twisted Freddy and Bonnie do. The snout is a long piece of plush part with wrinkles kind of sewn in along the top line of the snout to convey the wrinkles on the actual plush, almost as if he's scowling. Moving down to the body, he seems to have more of a upward heavy build in the artwork. To convey this upward heavy build, I've changed the shape of the stomach patch on the body to be more triangular, with the wider side of the triangle being pointed towards the top of the body. Adding in a few stitch marks just to convey the worthedness, but also not going over the top. I've fixed his hook hand by adding stitch marks between the body colour and the hook itself, and of course adding accurate barnacles to the plush. Please, not what this was. I also feel like Funko's plushie is a bit odd, because without the hook hand is just kind of there. So in order to give the hook hand a purpose, I've decided to add the hook to match to the base of the plushie. And on the other side of the body, I've added silver threads to convey the wires coming out of his body and going back into them. Something that's not consistent across the artworks for the Twisted ones is the eye colour. Freddy and Bonnie had a more grey colour to the sclera of the eye, but Foxy and Chica have a more usual white colour. Just another weird design detail with these guys. I swear I like these guys, I swear I do. Moving down to the bottom of the plush, I decided to give him Nightmare Foxy's shorts, as I don't think you could really feasibly tear these up anymore. They're already complicated as it is. And quite possibly my favourite detail of this plush would be the metal parts of his legs. Since this guy is kind of ocean themed in the official artwork, coming up out of the ground having this weird like sea colour around him, I think it would be a neat detail to make the metal parts of him more on the greenish side, like the metal parts of the animatronic have been stained over time with algae and seawater. And of course, to finish off, we have some long stitch marks on the feet to represent the claws of the animatronic. And we're done. There's Twisted Foxy. I'm not 100% happy, more like 97, so I might redesign him in the future, who knows. There he is, he's finished. Pull the lever crunk.
And unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave it here for today's video. If my mic quality sounds a little different, it's because the microphone I used whilst recording this video was lent from a friend and I no longer live with him. So I'm recording this on my phone. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It took me like a year to make this. I started making it in September last year, and it is currently September as I'm finishing editing it and hopefully upload it. I will try to get part 2 out as soon as possible, where I cover the other 4 plushies left in the plushie wave. Sorry, a train just went by. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.